How's everybody doing? So what we're looking at here is a free asset. It's a free asset from Quixel Bridge Megascans. It's in this little free. There's a few free things in here. There's not a lot, but there's a few things. There's a few textures. Maybe a few plants. Some decals. Oh, these are for like billboards for like ground covers, like this one for example. Um, we'll download this and we'll go to the folder where it's at here. And when you install the bridge, it makes a downloaded folder. So this is an atlas. And the way these work is you have a opacity map which tells the game, or tells the materials rather, what to make invisible. What is black is invisible, transparent, and what is white is what remains. Now the way that the our BeamNG's selective area in the UV selector thingy, it only allows you to make like a box, a perfect box. It doesn't allow you to like come in and remove corners. So the way you would have to use this is you'd have to make some decisions. You basically would have to remove some of them, edit some of them, which I already know that sounds like more work than anybody probably wants to do. Um, but you could just say, you know what, I'll just use one of them. I'm not going to worry about all of them, and then that way you can just remove everything else. And show you here what I'm talking about. So we'll get a black paintbrush. And we'll get rid of this one. We'll leave that one up there at the top. So we'll have an alternate if we want to use it. Alright, I'll just resave that. Now let's load the game, and I'll show you how to do this. We'll load a level that oh, almost forgot. I gotta put them textures in the level. I can't forget that. So we'll just grab this whole folder. And we don't need everything in it. We'll take the whole folder. Just copied our clipboard. Now the level we want to put this in, well, load your level that you want to put it in. If you already got a level that you're working on, then you know you already got a folder in here for levels. You already got a folder for your level. But in this particular case, Small Island is a developer level. just inside of the folder here, I'll paste it. Now you may not have small island in there if you haven't ever edited the level. Why ain't the game loading? It's like the Pentium 4 days here. Oh, I'm downloading in the background. Forgot about that. It does take a toll on the system for some reason. So if you haven't ever edited a developer level and you want to just safely add to it without messing it up, and all you need to do is load the level and go into the world editor, hit F11 to get into there. Yeah, I know that don't look like small island, you know. Yeah, I was messing around and changed it up a little bit. I was adding to it and stuff, trying to do some different things. And we'll just go over here. Alright, so hit F11 and save level. That'll put you a folder in there. Now for the grass, let's make the material. Edit material editor, new material, and we'll just call this fern. And create it. And now pull up your asset browser and navigate to that folder. Alright, so we got several ones in here. So the one we're going to need is this albedo. That goes to color. Normal goes to normal. Roughness goes to specular. Open the advanced tab. Opacity map is you guessed it, the opacity map. Go down to advanced. Turn on double-sided. Turn on alpha clip and put the alpha clip at about somewhere around there, about 80 or so. Go to lighting, turn the roughness all the way down, and turn on anisotropic filtering. Save it, save the material. Now go to your terrain painter, and you see how there's these different materials, right? Let's get one that doesn't have anything on it. Concrete. And the name of that, remember that. Now go to create an object, go to ground cover, left click, hit escape. Then you'll see it appear in your scene tree. Now in the inspector window, go to types, open up this 0, and here you type in the layer that you want it to appear on. In this case, concrete. Paste, hit enter. Now you may see the beam NG grass, that's the default grass. You may see no material, but whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You're not going to see what you're supposed to see just yet. Go up to material and select that new material. You can start typing it in and it'll appear. Now you see it did not update. This has been a bug in the game since, well, 2 years ago when I started messing with it. Just once you've applied it, just save the level, then reload the level, and you'll see your item there. Let me let's see, here we go. I was gonna say I was gonna set my spawn point where I was just at, but let's go back. There we go. So now you can see the little ferns there. Now you see both of them there from that opacity map, right? So go back to your material editor and go to misspoke. Go to the ground cover that you created, to its inspector window, and where you set the name of the name for this to show up on, select this little box. This is the little box that will determine which one is being drawn. Remember, we deleted every one of these except for this bottom one and this top one. Remember, we painted those out in black. Except you're not seeing that here because this is the albedo map and not the actual opacity map. But just say OK, and now you'll see we just have the one plant that we are supposed to have. Now I did this on concrete so it wouldn't be distracted by other things already in the scene. Now I'll show you how to do the other one. If you want to, you can make a new one like this, and you can type this name in here again, except this one, open its little box and tell this one to be the other plant. Say OK. Now by default, all the others' probability is 0. See, the first one's probability is 1. 0 to 1 being a 100% chance it's going to spawn it. Well, we'll also make this, we make this 0.8, and we'll make this top one 0.8. And you can see you get a variety. You get 2 of these. Now if I took the time to edit that picture more to make it where I could select more, then that would be, giving me more options. Now, how many of these things are drawn? Well, that's determined here, max elements. But keep in mind, however far the radius is will dilute the amount. So let's just make a flat plane here and extend it on out into the horizon, so we can get an idea of what's going on. Now I'll paint all this concrete. I'll hide the forest for now, or better yet, I'll just delete all this stuff. Alright, here we're back. Max elements, but 100,000. Now you'll see that it has a dissolve radius of 50. If you set that to say 175 and the maximum radius to say 400, actually let's do 300. Not sure why it's... Oh, forgot about that. Shape cull radius. That's it. Let me fix this back, sorry. So 400, 300. Shape cull radius, 400. So you can see how it starts to dissolve at 300 meters away, but the maximum it can draw is up to 400. If you were to put this at like 100, it would start dissolving these a lot sooner. Let's make a lot more of these for this illustration. Let's put 1,000,000. Now we can kind of see better. So let's do just 25. It starts to dissolve them a lot sooner. The difference being it draws them in full. Now this is like for people that the systems don't do necessarily well with a lot of elements on the screen. But you may want to have them draw far in the distance instead of them clipping very soon. Like say, like this for example. You may not want to see that. Nobody wants to see that really. So that's why you would have like a little bit farther draw distance than the dissolve radius. That way it kind of blends it out a bit. Whereas the cull radius it overrides both of these. So if this was say set to 25, it's going to cull these regardless. And you don't want it to pop in like that. So if you wanted them very dense and very close, but not 1,000,000 of them, what you could do is that's 50,000. Now take that 50,000 and tell it the maximum distance to be 500. It's going to thin it out pretty good. Right, so that's another thing to consider. Let me think. You also got each one of these have a clump component. You know what clumping is? It's like how things are clumped together, basically. Now how I'm using the slider in here to show you how these things can clump together. The way I'm just sliding these, if you want to use clump and slide that way, you got to go up to your preferences and let me find it. It's use slider in there. Use sliders in inspector. If that's not check boxed, you have to manually type or use the plus and minus. So I leave it on so I can just slide these values. It makes it a lot easier for me. So that's how you would do that. You wouldn't want that on concrete, but you get the idea. Alright, now let me turn this clumping stuff off and let me make a lot of them on the screen again so I can kind of show you about this wind. Oh, also, these are not the 3D elements like you see with some of the grasses that draw where there's actually a 3D mesh. If you want to know how to do that, I'll have to explain that separately. but it's done in the same way as this. It's just you don't use these textures. Instead, you use a shape file, a DAE, but not also using the materials. That makes sense. Like, you would use no billboards and only do shapes. I'll explain that if anybody needs that explained. Alright, let's get a lot of these in here, and let's increase the wind a lot. Let's put another million in here. Millones. And let's go down to this wind in the ground cover settings. So you got gust strength. That's how much it blows. You got the frequency. See, strength. Affects how much it blows it. Frequency, how often it blows it. And then the length, the distance between each cycle. And then if you get up close, you see, let me turn this down some. You see this wobbling. Not that wobbling, I'm sorry, hold on. This wobbling, this is the turbulent strength. That's separate from the wind blowing each wave through there. So you got the frequency of that, and then the strength of that. And you got the direction. This is just a XY, I believe, so like you do -1 and -1 for one direction, -1 and +1, 1 and 1. I'm not sure. It pretty much just goes left and right. Not a lot of variety in it. I think that's pretty much it. Of course, now you can with each one of these ground covers, you know, you got it. You can have these assigned to multiple things, like grass 3, for example. You can tell this also to be on grass 3. And forget the probability is by default 0, so if you want it to show up in there, you need to give it some value. And you say, well, you know, I like that. I want it also to be in my other grass. Say, okay, you can do that. Just go to the next one. What's that called? Grass new. Alright. Probability, I don't know, 0.25. it's like each one of these ground covers here. They each got their own wind also. So if you want them to match what the others are doing, you can